Radio Free Mormon here, broadcasting behind enemy lines. Episode 454 tonight, Bar Complaint Roundtable. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. You know, the last time I used this introduction, it was a bit too loud. Even I recognize that. So I've softened that volume. But I do still like the energy it gives me when a show opens. Welcome to Radio Free Mormon. You're probably saying to yourself, wow, at Radio Free Mormon, I can see a lot more of his face now, and I don't exactly like the experience. Well, there's a story behind that because, yes, I was clean shaven for Friday last, and that story I'm going to tell you all about this Friday on Mormonism After Dark. Because I was out of state, I was not available. I was involved in a project. I was immersed and consumed by a project. It was a brief project for me, but at least I was consumed by it. And I was really happy about that because it was while I was away, it was while I was in California, that apparently all hell broke loose. And I think of it as up here in Washington, though I guess it was around the world or wherever the internet is nowadays. When Jaxon Washburn decided to go out of his way to, I don't know, take a few pot shots at yours truly. There was a lot of stuff going on. And I'm actually glad to say I may know only about 90% of it. Once again, being consumed with that project, right? And I know that there's a lot of things that have gone on. I know that there's a lot of people who would like to have a chance to express your thoughts about the subject. We're going to make time for that tonight as well. There's been some things going on behind the scenes. Kolby Reddish had an interview with Jaxon Washburn that released yesterday on Sunday, April 19th, 2026. It's still up. And for viewing, very, very interesting. I thought Kolby did a great job with that. If you're watching, Kolby, I just want to give you kudos for that. And so we'll talk with Kolby about that tonight. There was also some things going on behind the scenes and some in front of the scenes, I think, from what I've seen myself, between Randall Bell, Dr. Randall Bell, and Jaxon Washburn. And Randy's going to be here too. And Wendy is also going to be joining us tonight. Yep, my Wendy. And I'm her RFM. It goes both ways, this ownership, this possession. She's going to be here because what she wants to do, by the way, she's very retiring. She doesn't like appearing in public. She certainly doesn't like talking in public, but she's been so fired up about what's been going on. I could not keep her from making this appearance, even if I tried. So she's going to show up. She's going to tell you what she thinks about the experience and what her perceptions are. And I know we're all looking forward to hearing from her. So let me go here and show, there's some news too. This isn't exactly a newscast tonight, but all this news is happening. The newscast got canceled, and we're not having it tonight on Monday, April 20th, 2026. By the way, I hope you're celebrating in good fashion on April 20th. I know I am. And it's going to be next week when we have the next newscast, but all this news has been happening. So let's talk about the news if we can. There we go. There's the thumbnail, RFM. Bar Complaint Roundtable. There's a picture of Randy, Kolby, Wendy, and moi. And let's go from there. Actually, I think that is, well, give me a second here. Yeah, that was the different one. So we're going to do a little news. I'm going to give you a brief background on the bar complaints in case you've been under a rock or something and you don't know what's been going on, or in California consumed to the project and you don't know what's going on. Very brief. Okay. Then Bill Reel. Now, Bill Reel can't be here personally. Okay, but accepting the award for Bill Reel will be me reading some of his comments about what's been going on with him behind the scenes, because he has not been inactive at all. He's been on the front lines, I'll tell you that, and I appreciate that very much. Then Kolby Reddish, then Randy Bell, then Wendy, and then we're going to open it up for callers, by which, of course, I mean people to use the link to come into the studio by the StreamYard link, and I want you to be able to express yourselves, and that's going to be sort of like the Mormonism After Dark component of the show. But let's get going here, shall we? There's three main elements of news that are coming out in recent days. Today, they finally came up with names, new names. Mormons are big on new names. For the young women, remember that they used to be the beehives, the Maya maids, and the laurels. And they were there that way for a long time, as long as I can remember. And then they got rid of the names. They didn't like the names anymore, but they didn't have any names to replace them with. That's been for a few years. So they've been going on with no names. Now they came up with the names. You're going to love these names. Boy, you can just imagine the committee that came up with these names. So instead of the beehives, the 12 to 13-year-olds, they're going to be called builders of faith. Yeah, BOFO. That's what I think. That's BOFO. BOFFO. Builders of faith. Okay, 14 or 15, the Maya maids, they are now going to be called messengers of hope. And finally, for the laurels, young women turning 16 or older, they are going to be called gatherers of light. I'm not kidding. Gatherers of light. Somebody thought that's a great idea. I'll vote for that. So we'll just have to see what's going to happen, because I imagine these are going to be very quickly truncated and nicknamed so that people don't actually have to refer to themselves or others in their group as a builder of faith or a messenger of hope or a gatherer of light. It'll probably be a Bof, a Mo, M-O-H, and a Gol, G-O-L, something like that. That's how they'll refer to it. So if you wanted to know what was going to happen with those names, now you know, and I'll bet you're glad you do. Now, the second thing is a new temple has been announced. And as President Oaks has changed the procedures, it was not announced in conference. He didn't announce any temples. This was announced locally by a local GA. And it is not that far from me, where I'm broadcasting right now. The church announces temple to be built in Marysville, Washington. Now, I heard this last night. I think it was from Martine who sent it to me. And I looked at this and I thought, you got to be kidding. There's nothing in Marysville. I mean, Marysville? Really? You're going to build a temple in Marysville? And I said, well, it's just up the road from the Seattle temple. And I looked it up. By the way, this is the church announcement. The church announces temple to be built in Marysville, Washington. There's the guy who's announcing it locally. And here's two maps. Now, these are the same map, although one is closer up and one is further away. And the one on the left shows the distance of 40 miles from the Seattle, Washington temple, which is in Bellevue, to Marysville, the city of Marysville. It's 40 miles difference between the two. And they're building a temple in Marysville. I understand that Marysville is going to be supposed to take up some of the population, I'm guessing, of Everett, which is to the south of Marysville and a more populous city. But really, come on. These are not the problems that you have. You don't have a problem with too many people wanting to use the temple, but you're building more temples anyway. And so you can get a better idea of this if you're not so familiar with the lay of the land here in Western Washington and Seattle and the Sound. The one on the right is further away, so you can see the border of Washington up there at the top, and that's the top border of the United States, of course, as well. And then there's the Pacific Ocean on the left. You can see the Sound, and there's Seattle. You can see how close Marysville is to Seattle. But they're building a temple there. I did a little bit more research for the news because I just wanted to know about this other temple that they're building down there right by the Wild Waves water park. Something that most people who live over here on this side of the mountains have heard of, if not attended. It's down there in Tacoma. They have announced that temple, and you can see it there. The Seattle, Washington temple. They've got 7 of them either built or announced now. The Tacoma, Washington temple, which is third from the bottom, announced in 2022. That's the one that's going to be over there by Wild Waves. And now at the bottom, the newly announced Marysville, Washington temple. The thing about this is that the Wild Waves, the new temple in Tacoma, is 32 minutes south of Bellevue, of the Seattle, Washington temple. You can go 32 minutes south or 40 miles north, and you're going to be able to hit new temples. I really don't think that the numbers of the church are growing that much, and certainly not those who are carrying, temple recommends and able to attend the temple. Okay, finally, there was John Dehlin, and he got served with his lawsuit from the LDS Church over his use of the Mormon stories, the name, the everything. Okay, the negotiations fell through. John Dehlin just did a Mormon Stories episode, and by the way, if you'll hang on just a second, everybody, because what I got to say here is that wait a sec. Excuse me, everybody. The problem is that John had texted me, like when I want him to come on, and I think that he's on here. Yeah. Gosh darn. There we go. So we'll see if he's able to come on and tell us a little bit more about that. He gave a lot of details on his show. We don't want to go into those details here because we're talking about something else. So if he doesn't come on, that's okay. I understand he's busy with a lot of things on his plate. Hey, John Dehlin, how did you sneak on here without me letting you on?
I have no idea.
What is this power that you have?
It wasn't me. I clicked the link.
Okay, this is freaking me out now. But John, I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be. Am I live?
Yeah, you are. You are. I know you can't tell because I'm so relaxed. Acting anything like this is a live show. But I'm glad that you got here. Now, I don't know what this is on the screen here in front of me, so I'm not going to click it, okay? But tell us about this because you got served with the lawsuit. You found out about it. How?
So, we were out of town in California. It's a Friday midday afternoon. I don't exactly remember the exact time, but somebody sent me a link. I don't remember which I got first, but my memory is I got a link to some post that Jasmine made on Instagram. And then within a short amount of time, I remember it's kind of all a blur, but then I remember seeing Jasmine puts a video up on YouTube. And then at some point, someone sent me a statement that the church released. And that's how I found out the church had filed a lawsuit was through Jasmine Rappleye and her Instagram and YouTube channels. And then I tried, I know how to look up lawsuits. So I went into the federal registry and searched for Open Stories Foundation and nothing came up. So humorously, the only way I was able to find the actual copy of the lawsuit was to screenshot Jasmine's YouTube video that I think the number appeared, if my memory's right. And then I copied that and then pasted it in and was able to download the actual lawsuit with the case number I got off Jasmine's video.
Wow. What do you make of that? Is she tied in or what?
I mean, I don't know, but it just seems like it would have seemed, I can't cry, ask for tears of pity that, we're being sued because obviously we're challenging with our content a very powerful and wealthy church. So it's kind of comes with the territory at some point. But just as I understand it, it's a professional courtesy when you're suing someone to send them a copy of the lawsuit and to let them know it's going to be filed or it has been filed. And my understanding is that no one on our side received a copy of that lawsuit until like 8 or 9 p.m. that night.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the church not only had a press release out, but what seemed like a host of social media influencers and commenters publishing video and audio and textual content before I even was notified shows a very massive, expensive, coordinated effort to shape the message before anyone else can even react to it.
Oh, yes. They're very concerned about blowback from this. They took all the steps they possibly could to try and minimize that, but I think that their concerns are warranted. Hey, John, I'm going to bring on the stage the other guests that I have so we can all just wish you love and help in any way, and also want you to pitch your message to our audience too about any way that they can help you out. Okay. Now, Randall Bell is here. Randy's here.
Johnny.
Love you, Randy.
Love you,
Some
man.
randos here.
Kolby.
Hi, John.
They let randos on this podcast?
Occasionally.
Wendy, I love you, Wendy.
Hi, John. Good to see you.
There's a sight for sore eyes.
Ouch. Ouch, John.
Hide as much as possible.
Don't take it personally, Kolby. He likes you too. So, John, Does
I think
anybody
Kolby's
have
hot.
anything they
I think
wanna say
Randy
to
and
John?
Kolby and RFM are hot too.
There you go. Me
Here's what I
too.
want to say to Kolby, okay? Hey, Kolby, I get the idea that when the church issues a statement and they launch out their first sentence, I think it is, with what this is not, isn't that just like an admission as to this is absolutely what this is?
In my experience, yeah. I mean, every time there's a, sex abuse case in the news, what does the church say every time, right? What they prioritize the most, which is, paradoxically, what never happens as a result of the way their policies work together.
Yeah, and what they started off with, for anybody who doesn't know, they started off, as I recall, I haven't memorized it, John, but in the church statement talking about this is not an attempt to influence the content of Mormon stories. Don't they say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not an attack on I want to say the position or the point of view of the podcast. I think
Of course it is. I mean, they just admitted it right there. When you're too eager to deny what it really is, you can tell. All right. So, Randy, do you have anything you wanted to say to John?
Well, no, just that there is a lot of love and support directed your way, John. You don't know whether to laugh or cry, but it is kind of comical that people have been using the word Mormon, all 200 or 400 branches of Mormonism for hundreds of years now, coming up on 200 years. And you've been on the air for a long time. So I think the way I personally interpret this in a nutshell is you guys keep hitting such bullseyes with your content that there's just no way out. And this is just kind of the reactions of a desperate and insecure organization with lots of money to bully people and push people around. That's kind of how I see it.
Wendy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Jay Castro made a comment in the chat that you would think after 21 years, the church would have cared a lot sooner. And I really agree with that comment. And the only other thing I wanted to say is, John, I hope you fight them to the death if need be. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Whose death? Their death or my death?
No, theirs for sure.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
John, I have one correction for you. Earlier you kept talking about how the former prophet of the church called the term Mormon a victory for Satan, and that is not true. He called it a major victory for Satan, which who knew that they'd reverse so quickly on something like that?
You know what I think? Here's what I think. I think we're all aware of how long it is that the use of the term Mormon for Mormon church festered and gnawed away at Russell Nelson until he finally became president and he could leap into action, unleashed as he was to do what it is he long wanted to do, which is forbid the Mormon church. I think that Dallas Oaks has been having the same experience, but not with Mormon church, with Mormon stories. What do you think? Do you think it's a coincidence he becomes president and all of a sudden they move immediately against you?
I mean, I wanted to, I've been tempted to coin the term prophet, seer, and litigator. Interestingly, I had interactions with Elder Oaks back when I was a BYU student. I had a really fraudulent and terrible mission experience in some ways, and I wrote Elder Oaks about my mission, and he called me and, personally, helped me reconcile and feel better about my horrible mission experience. And in his own way, believe it or not, he even apologized for what happened to me on my mission. And then later, when I believed I worked at Microsoft, I happened to sit behind him on an airplane, and I slipped him a note and said, "Hey, it's good to see you. I work for Microsoft now. Thanks for reaching out to me when I was a BYU student. It really made a difference." And he wrote me back a letter and thanked me for that note. So my interactions with Elder Oaks go back quite a long ways. And I always had, and in some ways still have, a bit of a soft place in my heart for him. But yeah, this is what you would expect from an administration run by a prophet. And I don't think it's a coincidence that 2/3 of the first presidency are attorneys, and attorney is probably the number one profession of the Quorum of the 12, right?
I'm guessing that when you said, what do you expect from a church run by a prophet, you may have meant lawyer.
Sorry. Yes. What do you expect from a church run by a lawyer? Yeah.
Lawsuits.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
RFM, can I address this comment, this super chat?
Yeah, and I just want to mention that Osti Destry Rides Again says in a super chat, I noticed that the church filed in Utah and immediately demanded a jury. It's very clear what they're counting on. You wanted to comment on that, Return of the Rando?
Yeah, just because I've seen this comment a lot, like because Jasmine made a big deal about the church demanding a jury trial. This is just standard template boilerplate pleadings in any type of civil litigation. The reason is that if you do not demand a jury trial in your initial pleading and your initial complaint, you basically have waived certain rights, and it can change certain procedural questions about a case. So for example, after even before the discovery process, as the discovery process continues, you have different standards that apply to dispositive motions if the matter is ultimately set for a court trial versus a jury trial, at least in the jurisdiction I practice in. And so people are making a big deal about this. I'm really just saying this isn't a big deal. This is literally exactly what would be expected, because that doesn't mean that the church is realistically planning on this going in front of a jury. It's the type of decision that you can only make once, and there is no harm to demanding a jury trial and then deciding you don't want to go to a jury trial, but it doesn't work inversely. So I just thought I'd clear that up.
In other words, if you didn't put it on there and later on you changed your mind, you wanted a jury trial, it's too late.
Exactly.
Hey, John, now that we've collected comments from supporters here on the screen with you, back to that question I asked originally about how can the viewers help and how can we help you?
So a couple things. Because we don't have the wealth and the assets that the church does, our attorney and the law firm that's representing us is looking to assemble a team of legal professionals, especially ones with experience in trademark and copyright, intellectual property. So if you are an attorney, or if you know a great attorney that is willing to give some pro bono time to support this cause, we are putting an extended legal team together, and I can put you in touch with our attorney. That's one thing. A second thing is that there's been a lot of hateful and even violent comments made by people in response to the church's press release, because the message of the press release was, number one, all the church asked was to have us include a disclaimer, which is not true. They asked for a mountain of really unreasonable, terrible, asks with the threat of a lawsuit as a gun pointed to our head, that led to us not accepting their terms. So it's false that the church simply asked us to add a disclaimer. But the other thing they wrote in the press release is that we didn't adopt the disclaimer when we actually did. We adopted it on every platform: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, our blog. And
John,
yeah.
When did you adopt the disclaimer?
As soon as they asked for it. Like
Within
the first time was in the first mediation,
oh.
I believe I started adopting it, and then the day of the second mediation, I corrected the language because they asked us to correct it. So it was literally my memory is it was literally on the days of those two mediations is when I started.
They obviously saw that you had put up these disclaimers because they asked you to change certain language, which you did.
Oh, and I emailed yes, they did, and. What I'm glad I did before this was all over is I emailed the original client of the church in Property Reserve when all the mediation was over and it had failed. I emailed the original dude who emailed me for Intellectual Reserve, and I said, hey, I don't know what your lawyers are telling you, but here are all the things that we've done to cooperate. We would love to continue cooperating, just not under the threat of a gun to our head. And, under mediation. But if there's any, here's what we've done. And I told them we've adopted the disclaimer as well as fixed every thumbnail that we could that violated by your accusations of copyright. So the church knew very well we had incorporated and adopted the disclaimer on all our platforms. So yeah, that just wasn't. So But the other thing really damaging was they claim that we didn't. And so what I've seen is hundreds of, if not thousands of messages saying, see, John means to deceive people. He's a wretch. He's a cockroach. He's evil because he wouldn't adopt the one simple, reasonable request that the church offered. And so if anyone can screenshot any violent, any damaging, any defamatory, any false, any harmful comments or statements made by faithful members of the church, by podcasters, by YouTubers, and send those to us at mormonstories@gmail.com. That can help us gather the evidence we need to show how harmful the church's false, what we believe to be false and misleading statement is. That's the second thing. The third thing is we've set up a legal defense fund. If you go to mormonstories.org/legal, you can donate to this cause. And we're told this is going to cost at minimum hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if lawyers are pro bono and volunteering. Just other facts gathering, studies, expert witnesses, filing fees is going to easily reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. But this case could go into the $2 to $3 million range. So if anyone wants to donate to support our legal defense fund, go to mormonstories.org/legal and you can donate. Thanks for letting me let people know.
Absolutely, John. We're behind you 1,000,000%. I think I speak for all of us on this program and those watching.
Thank you. And I appreciate y'all bringing attention to it. And just for your friendship and support over the years, you've all been great friends over the years. So I'm proud to be associated with you all.
I don't know if you saw it a week or two ago. This is the I told you so part of the show where I get to say I was right. It was on the newscast, and I had said the stupidest thing the church could do under these facts with their disuse of the name, and they're distancing themselves from the name, and they're allowing you to use it for 20 years, would bring a lawsuit against you. And that's why I predicted that that's exactly what they would do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the sun rises, the rooster crows, and RFM is right.
Thank you. Yes. I like that. Hey, John, thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll be in touch, okay? We're behind
Love you, RFM. Love you, Kolby, Randy, and Wendy. Thank you, everybody.
All right. So now it's just us. That is important stuff that's going down. This other stuff is not so important. On the other hand, this other stuff is a lot more fun. So we get to talk about me and a pumpkin and a couple of bar complaints. Now I'm trying to see here as I go. Let me see. Hang on a second here. There are two that are identical down here below, and I have to figure out which is the right one. I'm not always right on that. So here's the thing. Here's a little background, okay? Once again, this is like 60 seconds, okay? Last October, I helped out the sister missionaries whose front door had blown open completely in a windstorm while they were away by closing their door and locking it after clearing the house from the doorway and making sure that there was nobody else inside and that they weren't inside either. I did that as best I could without like leaving the entry area. And then I thought it would be funny if I took this pumpkin that's on the outside and put it on the inside as a little Halloween prank. So I did that, closed it, made sure it locked so it's all good and secure. Went back to our house, right, Wendy? I know she's going to give you the rest of the story. If Rebecca could join us, she'd give us the rest of the story too, but she's in Italy. She's in Rome, and it's 9 hours later there than it is here on the Pacific coast. So it's about 2 a.m. now, I think there, about 2:30. Yeah. So, but that's basically what happened. Now, I texted about it to Rebecca. She was actually on the phone with me in the truck as we pulled in, and I was announcing it to her. What the heck's going on? That door's open, and their car's not here. The sister's car wasn't there. So anyway, went over there, took care of it, texted her a few things that I thought were funny, and put them up on my Facebook page. That says on October. It's October 19th or 20th of last year. And two guys, total losers, filed bar complaints against me, either that day or the following day. And their names are Naden Hicks and Tyler Golightly. Okay? So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. Hayden Nix, H-A-D-E-N, no Y, H-A-D-E-N Nix, and Tyler Golightly are the two guys. And they're living down there in Provo. I think they're students at BYU. They're definitely members of FAIR and almost certainly members of the Cavalry who managed to ride themselves into a box canyon on this one. So that's kind of what happened. I found out about it 2 months later because the bar wasn't all that exercised about getting right on these complaints. And they sent them to me, said, what the heck's going on? Can you give us a reply? I did. And they ended up being dismissed. The first one by Hayden Nix. He withdrew it voluntarily. But the other guy, Tyler Golightly, did not. And they had to issue a ruling saying, no, we're dismissing this. And once that was done, and Kolby, this is something, I don't know if I told you. I didn't want you to feel badly, but we were trying to wrap up that freaking Light and Truth letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have been putting off this one that came out last week. Apologists filed bar complaints against me for about a month. So we had time and, to do all these other things. Mm-hmm. So that's why it took a little while for it to get out. But once it did, something crazy happened. I got to tell you a little bit about Bill Reel because he can't be here. Bill Reel. I had forgotten all about this. Okay. But you're going to love this story. A year ago, I don't know. When did we start Mormonism After Dark? It wasn't that long ago, but it's been a while. Okay. Like a year, maybe more than a year ago. And,
are you talking about the episode where Jaxon came on?
Yeah. Where Jaxon called in.
It was like September, October timeframe. And I only remember because I was out of town.
Of last year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's that recent. Okay. Well, that's what happens when you get older. Time slows down. This has been my experience, at least. So it was only last September or so. And Jaxon calls in. He zooms in, so it's his face, which we recognize. And, it's Jaxon. He's calling to talk about something. I don't remember what it was. But Bill has got something in for Jaxon. There's some history there. I don't know what it is, but I'm certainly interested in seeing how this develops because Bill immediately starts going in on him on whether he would allow Joseph Smith to babysit his child, his daughter, to Jaxon. And what follows is a 6-minute ballet, a pas de deux. It's actually a pas de trois because I get involved, of Jaxon trying to pirouette his way, Shanae turn his way out of this and change the subject, right, without answering. And he's going to every length he can to not answer the question. And Bill and I keep him on the hot seat as he tries to get away. So we don't let him get away. And finally, after like 6 minutes of this, it's worse than it could ever have been had he just answered directly. And you know how this goes right in court, Kolby. So I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to play this for you here in a second. But that is the background. And there's a little bit more background. And I think I'd heard about it, but maybe it seeped out. I didn't remember it at the time. But Jaxon had been kind of concerned about this particular 6-minute part of the show when he called in. He asked Bill to cut it out and edit it from the show. And maybe if I'd been the one who was editing it from the show, I would have remembered, but Bill did it and he remembered. And instead of destroying it, he just had it over here on the side in some other place for such a time as this. And here's what he says, because Bill Reel had told Jaxon, okay, yeah, we won't show it. But now Jaxon does this crazy thing on me about this bar complaint video where he writes a screed. And apparently what I've been told is that he cross-posted everywhere on all the Reddit channels and on different Facebook pages, including Mormonish. And he did put it on Mormon stories and Mormonism Live, I think. So here's what Bill says. I'm going to tell you something, Jaxon. If you feel safe to keep reaching out and criticizing people, such as Radio Free Mormon recently, then you don't get to cry to me and ask me to remove things because it causes you so much distress. See how knowing the backstory really helps us understand what Bill's getting at? Jaxon understood. Bill goes on. You can't have it both ways. You need to pick whether you want to stay on the sidelines and have your emotional health protected, or if you want to be an outspoken voice who criticizes things, which makes you fair game. Otherwise, this behavior is simply inappropriate and irresponsible and unhealthy. P.S. Your criticism of RFM was completely off base anyway. All right, so now we get to the slide here that has this clip on it. This clip has now been seen upwards, I think, of 3,000 times. As people are starting to find out what it's about, I'm going to play it at 6 minutes. I'm going to play it at 1.25, though. So it'll be a little quicker if you've seen it before. And if you haven't seen it before, I don't think it loses anything from being played at 1.25. But before I go into this, is there anything anybody else here wants to say about anything I've said before, or you want to say before this clip is played?
I just wanted to say I think it was actually in November of 2025, for what it's worth.
Thank you for correcting the record, Mr. Rando.
And I just want to say I happened to be watching that episode live, and as Jaxon went on, I was just cringing. It was so bad. And I had met Jaxon before, and I had a really nice opinion of him. I thought he's, kind of nuanced and kind of a new, trendy, up and coming sort of apologist, and that was fine. I'm a critic. He's an apologist, but he seemed very likable. And to see him crash and burn like that was just really very sad. So those are my thoughts as I actually watched it.
Anything from you, Wendy?
Nope, I'm good right now.
Okay, well, here it goes. And this is Bill's right out of the gates on this clip. So you got to listen. And of course, I'm feeling a little secondhand embarrassment for Jaxon. But then the lawyer in me smells the blood in the water and sees him trying to get away from the question. So I have to sort of jump in and try and hold him to his feet to the fire. Let me, well, this is great. Hang on a second, everybody. So that's that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the one where I can play it. Excuse me.
Guise of taking care of them as stepchildren in that role, and then switching it to an intimate husband-wife relationship.
I would view God as polygamy is of course a very complex topic, and I don't mean to say that in a euphemistic or
can you say it's wrong way. Can you just say it's wrong instead of complex? Is it wrong?
I have various ethical reservations when it comes to patriarchal polygamy.
Would you let your 14-year-old daughter work in the Smith home, knowing what you know?
Knowing what I know?
Yeah.
I would probably want to have a firm conversation first.
Oh,
about what boundaries would look
with
like.
whom? With your daughter or with Joseph Smith?
Probably everyone, but considering my wife is an ex-Mormon, I don't know that my daughter would be let near Joseph Smith.
But this is about you. This is about you. I appreciate the attempt. Would you or wouldn't you?
Yeah, would you or wouldn't?
Would I or would I?
Would you let your 14-year-old daughter work in the Smith home? Now, again, it doesn't matter what Joseph Smith says. He said lots of things to those kids and their parents. He sent people on missions. Would you let your 14-year-old daughter work in the Smith home and go, whatever happens, happens?
No, I would consider myself a bit negligent in my parental responsibilities by just throwing the hands up.
You're worried Joseph Smith would shag her.
You be honest. In your heart of hearts, you trust that if you had a 14-year-old daughter, she'd be safer with Radio Free Mormon and Bill Reel than she would be with Joseph Smith.
And that's a low bar.
See again, this is where the rubber meets the road, and nobody wants to say it. They all want to sort of skirt around it. But would I 100 times over, I'm going to leave my kid with Radio Free Mormon before I leave my kid with Joseph Smith?
Well, I would say I probably know Joseph better than I know either of you two gentlemen. So, the kind of unqualified access, we would probably have to have deeper conversations before I would be comfortable with that.
And after those deeper conversations, and he reassures you that everything's on the up and up,
I promise you, Jaxon, your daughter's safe with me.
Yeah.
So then you're going to let her go ahead and work for him.
You'd let her.
No, I'm not just going to take your word for it, just like I wouldn't take Joseph's word for it.
Jaxon,
I was speaking for Joseph as if I were Joseph. Jaxon, I'm Joseph. Jaxon, you can trust me. Your daughter will be safe with me. You're fine.
Jaxon, it was always a no. And in your heart of hearts, it's always a no. Your answer is no. It doesn't matter how many conversations you and Joseph Smith have. It's a no, but you can't say it. You sense right now you can't say it.
Why can't you say no to that question, Jaxon?
Well, I mean, part of it is I largely object to the framing and object to the kind of rhetorical purpose behind it.
But it's still a question, and it's a legitimate question. Do you think it's an illegitimate question?
I think intent matters a lot. And I
Why?
think
Actually, it doesn't matter. It's a question. It doesn't make any difference if somebody's playing got you, which, he said he loves doing it. So, caveat emptor. He did say that before.
I did.
But really, it's a simple question. Would you or wouldn't you? The answer's no. But for some reason, you're saying, because I don't believe that you would. Okay. I think highly enough of you that I think that your answer really would be no in your heart of hearts. But it raises the second question is, why don't you feel comfortable just saying no?
Well, the thing is, I would trust, or I put my trust in Joseph in various ways. That
not with young girls.
I would be much more
not with your daughter, just with your eternal salvation.
And so, related to your question, no, if I had the chance, I would probably pick different babysitters than Joseph Smith, but that would also probably be true of other men, in their 30s.
Sure. But
it should be true of anybody who cares about his daughter.
Your kid is safer with me than with Joseph Smith. What does that say?
And that's saying something.
Founder. I'm telling you right now, Jaxon, your fucking kid is safer with me than with Joseph Smith. And in your heart of hearts, you know it. Because
well, I mean
no, hold on. Even if you don't know about me, you know about Joseph. And in your heart of hearts, if you had to, I got to send my kid into one of those homes for 6 months, you're sending him to the reels.
Probably not.
One or the other. You're sending him to one or the other. Pick one. And then this is it. We got to let you go. Pick one. You have to have your kid babysat for 6 months in Bill Reel's house or in Joseph Smith's house.
Look, this kid's not coming to my house for 6 months.
Which one is it, Jaxon? Pick one. Pick one.
Which one is it?
Yep. Pick one.
No, that's okay, Bill. I'll pass.
All right. Have a great day, Jaxon.
All right.
Okay.
Pleasure as always.
Bye. See you, Jaxon. Thank you for calling in. I always got to appreciate when Jaxon calls in. What are you doing over there? Like you're victorious or something.
Look,
are you celebrating?
If I don't know anything about them, if we just pick a random man,
yes.
General pop. Again, this is bear or man, right? Women go, I'd rather face a bear in the wilderness than a stranger man. And I get it. 33% of women report being sexually assaulted at some point in their life.
Mm.
If you don't know anything about a stranger and you know about Joseph Smith, you send your fucking kid to the stranger's house. You send him
like, would you trust your money with some random guy or one of these 10 guys on the wall of the post office?
Yes.
And there you have it. Well, I hope that if you hadn't seen that, you got a chance to out there. And if you have, you enjoyed it as much the second time. That was at 1.25. Any thoughts from any of you before I talk about the reaction? So we've got the first reaction is from Jacob, unless we're going to go all the way back to the pumpkin. Which came first, the pumpkin or the spider? But Jaxon writes his screed. And then Bill responds by releasing this, and then we'll talk about what Jaxon does to respond to Bill's releasing this here in a second. Any thoughts? Can we start with Wendy?
Nope, I'm going to wait until the end. I'm just going to say everything together.
Okay, really good. Moving up the totem pole to Randy.
I think I said what I wanted to say. It's very cringy, but at the same time, it's hysterical.
Yeah, it really is. Kolby.
Well, I just want to say that apologists will act like we're taking things out of context if we imply there's anything untoward going on with Joseph Smith and these young women. I want to just read, if I can, from Joseph Smith's letter dated August 18th, 1842 to Newell, Elizabeth, and Sarah Ann Whitney. So I'm reading this from a Reddit post, so I'll indicate that I wrote. So I'll indicate when I'm reading from the letter and when I'm just reading my opinion.
Is there anything about a pumpkin in there?
There's nothing about a pumpkin, nor a giant, nor a decorative spider. Okay. So I wrote, this letter is written, at least partially according to the scholars at the Joseph Smith Papers Project, in Joseph Smith's handwriting, if you look closely, and bears his signature. The rest is written by a scribe. For those unfamiliar with the letter, I suggest reading it quickly in its entirety. One piece of important context for the letter is that Joseph and the barely 17-year-old Sarah had been secretly and illegally married for just a month earlier. This seems the clearest explanation of Joseph's opening comments in the letter. Quote, "For my feelings are so strong for you, since what has passed lately between us, that the time of my absence from you seems so long and dreary, that it seems as if I could not live long in this way. And if you three would come and see me in my lonely retreat, it would afford me great relief of mind. If those with whom I am allied do love me, now is the time to afford me succor in the days of exile. For you know, I foretold you of these things." So that's the end of that part of the quote. And I said, so Joseph's objective is clear. He would like for them to come visit him while he was trying to avoid extradition to Missouri. Joseph tells them where he can be found and states, quote, "I have a room entirely by myself. The whole matter can be attended to with the most perfect safety. I know it is the will of God that you should comfort me now in the time of my affliction, or not at all. Now is the time or never, but I have no need of saying any such thing to you, for I know the goodness of your hearts, and that you will do the will of the Lord when it is made known unto you. The only thing to be careful of is to find out when Emma comes. Then you cannot be safe, but when she is not here, there is the most perfect safety. Only be careful to escape observation as much as possible. I know it is a heroic undertaking, but so much the greater friendship and the more joy when I see you. I will tell you all my plans. I cannot write them on paper. Burn this letter as soon as you read it. Keep it all locked up in your breasts. My life depends upon it. One thing I want to see for you is to get the fullness of my blessings sealed upon our heads, etc. You will pardon me for my earnestness on this subject. When you consider how lonesome I must be, your good feelings know how to make every allowance for me. I close my letter. I think Emma won't come tonight. If she don't fail to come tonight, if she don't fail to come tonight, I think Emma won't come tonight. If she don't fail to come tonight. That's what it says. Sorry. Joseph Smith's grammar is not an easy read. I subscribe myself your most obedient and affectionate companion and friend. And I just read that to say, you know, apologists act like we are being so unfair. When I read that letter in its context, I understand that it says burn it when it was written. I just don't understand how they can't see the gigantic problem with Joseph Smith. Even if you think that he had some legitimacy as a prophet at some point during his calling, he is manipulating this young woman and this entire family in the voice of God. And that is just something I can never stomach. I understand people like Jaxon are dealing with trying to reconcile, you know, spiritual experiences that they've had with either the Book of Mormon or with the church generally. But when I read something like that, it is too gross. I could not square that with my version of, you know, God and with my version of what a prophet would be.
You know, that injunction to burn the letter, I know that the apologists have been working night and day to come up with innocuous reasons for him to say that. The problem is that the more innocuous the reason is, the less reason there is to burn it.
Exactly. That's, in fact, this post that I pulled that from is me talking about applying the idea of spoliation, which is like willful destruction of evidence against Joseph Smith. And as you know, RFM, when a party has engaged in spoliation and has destroyed evidence willfully, as you covered very well in your series regarding Jen Camp, that party is no longer due any benefit of the doubt. In fact, it is construed exactly the opposite way. And so I was using this as an example to say, we have no idea if there were other letters exactly like this letter that were written to some of these young brides that also said, burn this letter, and that we just don't have access to.
Yeah, it's true. Once you can't trust someone and you know you can't trust them, then what are you going to do about it? You going to trust them? All right. Thank you for that. I wanted to say a couple other things about Bill to give the audience some of the story. Apparently, after Bill had released this 6-minute video of Jaxon on the Mormonism After Dark show, Jaxon either then or prior to went back through years of Bill Reel's Facebook pages to look for compromising pictures, which he then used. By the way, the one on the left is the same on the one on the right. The one on the right is just enlarged. And this is Jaxon Washburn taking this picture from Bill's Facebook page. I didn't remember having seen this. Speaking as if he were Bill Reel in the quotation marks and saying, I'm Bill Reel, and I need you to believe that I don't view women as objects, unlike those awful Mormons. Also Bill Reel. And then he has the picture. Now, the thing about Bill Reel is that this isn't a real person. Bill's a real person. But this lady, this is a wax figure. This is in some kind of, I don't know, someplace in Las Vegas where he was, and he would go around to these different wax figures and pose in the picture. Just be in the picture with him. Apparently, Jaxon did not know that. And he posted it in order to get back at Bill for releasing the 6-minute video. So that's how these things can go from bad to worse. And then I was texting with Bill and seeing if he could be on the show. No, he couldn't. There was a reason the newscast couldn't happen tonight, and there were schedules conflicting and stuff. But what he wrote back to me was, I have to go to Salt Lake in the morning. This must have been yesterday. Yeah. I'd love to, but I can't. That should be I can't. I'd love if you mention the picture, and I put this up here so I won't forget to do what Bill loves. I'd love if you mention the picture he shared from being a wax museum, as if that gives him a free pass, avoiding calling Joseph Smith out for abusing children. Okay. What do you think about that, Jaxon? Do you think that gives you a free pass? Posting that for you avoiding calling out Joseph Smith for abusing children? Bill goes on, I'd also like you to note all of the ad hominem. Oh yeah, we're waiting in ad hominem up to our ears. He concludes, pointing out that my drinking somehow nullifies his inability to condemn child sexual abuse by the founder of his religion. And then I use the eraser function in order to erase that out, because this is not Mormonism After Dark. Otherwise, I'd leave it in. He says, I haven't finished it quite yet, but Kobe, who I think that's you, Kolby. It's probably voice to text. I haven't finished it quite yet, but Kobe handed him his ass. Oh, talking about the show, the interview that you did with Jaxon. Kolby, this is Bill Reel's impression.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
I didn't have any intention to do that. I think there's just value in getting people to commit to their positions. You know, one of the biggest pieces of pushback I got when I had done a separate conversation with Jacob Hansen is some people were frustrated that I didn't push Jacob enough. But I think there's value in being willing to have these bridge building conversations and allow people to say their piece. And like I did with Jacob, with Jaxon, there were a number of different places where I pushed back. So I just want to be clear, because I'm sure Jaxon is going to watch this, that I didn't look at it that way. I just looked at it as he made some very specific claims. I wanted to walk through those claims. He gave me a document with all of his notes ahead of time. I gave him a document with all my notes ahead of time. So there was no gotcha, including, tonight's interview. On my part.
Right? Is the fact that you gave him all the documents up front, do you think that's why he seemed curiously to be backpedaling from the very get-go of the interview?
I mean, I can't speak to his intention, but when you go through and you show, here's the thing I'm going to talk about, here's the thing I'm going to talk about here, here's this document, you just have really clear notice of exactly what people are going to walk through step by step by step. It makes it a lot more difficult to obfuscate.
He was giving it his darn best, though, don't you think? Yes.
I think Jaxon finds a lot of room for nuance, sometimes where I see absolutely no way to really find that nuance. That's, I guess, the way I would put it.
I see. Well, he says, Kolby, you handed Jaxon his ass. And Bill says Jaxon, I think, he admitted he was wrong about everything. And yet I'm assuming he's not apologizing to you. He's talking to me. And if he's wrong about everything and apologizes to you, then he also owes everyone an apology that stood up for you. And I said, yeah, no contact whatsoever from Senor. And then I replicated the same name that Bill had used, but I similarly erased it here. Wouldn't want anybody to file a bar complaint or anything. Now, here is, this is a live chat replay. Oh, this is an example of some comments. Bill was really throwing haymakers in the live chat of your show that premiered yesterday. I think it was at 11 o'clock a.m. my time. So probably noon your time on Sunday.
Yep, that's right.
Hey, Randy, can you read these?
The ones on the
On
right?
the right. On the right. These are both Bill.
Read them with us. Read them with an inebriated slur so we can get the effect. Okay.
I'm good at that. Sure. So you're incensed by someone doing this, but you're not incensed by a grown man bringing children into his home and manipulating them into an intimate relationship.
Zing.
And then another post. And with your own daughter working in the home as long as you can have a conversation with everyone first.
Yeah, Bill has a pretty good memory for things. And that's just an example. It is actually worthwhile, not just to watch the video, the interview, which is incredible. I think, Kolby, I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
I think the numbers reflect that. I think the live chat is worthwhile reading as well because of comments like this. And then finally, hey, Wendy, I'm going to ask you to read this, okay?
Okay, which part? The circled or all of it?
The circled part, but I got to give you the introduction because apparently Jaxon has had enough of being made fun of in the 6-minute video clip for not taking a stand on whether he would allow Joseph Smith to babysit his kid or me or Bill Reel. So he wanted to set the record clear, and this is how he does so. And this is, I think, this is on the Mormonish Facebook page, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Can you see that, honey?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, oh, and because for some reason Bill has presented it as an important question, my ex-Mormon wife and I would sooner trust Joseph and Emma Smith to watch our children than him or RFM. Very easy decision for us to mutually reach as a mixed faith couple. I love her and her companionship dearly. Successful marriage is truly a blessing.
So apparently he has now taken a position.
Well, kind of, because he's changed the hypothetical that you asked him.
Oh, he has.
In an interesting way.
Emma Smith has got to be in the room every second. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You say what you're going to say. The hypothetical.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. The question wasn't Joseph and Emma Smith, and I think it's interesting that he adds Emma into the picture.
Yeah, he does, because he's still fudging.
Well, it's actually worse than that, because if you go back and reread or rewatch the clip, the first question Bill asked, which was a really excellent on-point question, is, would you let Joseph Smith watch your child, your hypothetical 14-year-old daughter? And the answer was an unequivocal, I'm not going to tell you the answer. He made that very clear. And then he added one, well, would you? And then he added, kind of the dichotomy of Joseph Smith or me. And now he's throwing in a third layer of deflection with adding Emma to the thing and saying, well, with Emma in the mix, no, I don't want you, Bill, for reasons he doesn't disclose. That is his kind of his MO for debate, is to throw in a deflection, change the subject, change it again. So soon you're arguing about an entirely different thing than what you started with. And he seems to kind of slip out of ever answering any of the questions along the way.
Yeah. And did you notice how he held his feet to the fire in that 6 minutes and how he tried so much? He's like Houdini trying to get out of the straitjacket, man, but he couldn't. And finally, he had to end where he began because we didn't let him out. And he ended with, I'll pass on that question.
Yeah.
But now he's talked to his wife and they figured out Joseph Smith is the guy to look after their kid.
With Emma.
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't allow people to change the equation. He's taken his position. He's going to have to live with it.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. Oh, Kolby Reddish's name is on this slide. And here's a thumbnail you did for the show.
That thumbnail is beautiful. It's a work
Tell
of
us
art.
about the thumbnail.
Well, I tried to generate a conspiracy that had all the different parts of the conspiracy. I've got the open door, I've got the bar complaint, I've got a Facebook post, I've got the pumpkin smashed around the world, and the spider. I've got everything in there.
It's incredible. It's really a thing of beauty. So I listened to your show Wendy listened to it. Randy, you listened to it. I want everybody to have any questions for Kolby. I keep looking at your name and thinking Rando, but if obviously you're Kolby. Can I start by asking the question I want to ask?
Sure.
My impression, I had a number of impressions. Let's just start with this one. My impression is that he said outright that he listened to my podcast before he wrote his post.
He did, and that was actually very surprising to me. So let me say one thing too about just like the technical aspect of recording. People noticed that Jackson's video was only present for part of the recording, so I probably didn't interject as much back and forth as I would because we were dealing with a greater delay than I'm used to. Because I would have asked some questions about that live if I had had the chance, because I came at Jaxon pretty strong on Facebook when he started posting this, precisely because I knew, having listened to your episode, what the sister missionaries had said about this. Like, even calling it an incident, I think overblows it, frankly. But knowing what the sister missionaries had said, I just knew that there was really nothing here. And so I was actually surprised when we sat down to record and Jaxon said he had listened to that before he had posted anything. And that was actually the reason he decided to weigh in on it. I wish I would have asked probably one more follow-up question about that, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. In fact, I originally wanted to title the episode was Radio Free Mormon Mischaracterized, and then I changed it to try and be, not at Jackson's request, just me trying to be more fair, to be more neutral and try and say, yeah, was Radio Free Mormon fairly characterized? But yes, that part was surprising to me.
Can I mention why it was surprising to me?
Sure.
The reason why it was surprising to me is because after saying that he watched my podcast, what is it, an hour 12, 70 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
After you watched the podcast, he wrote his post, but you kept bringing up details to him that were in my podcast, which he acted like he had never heard of before. And if he had known it before he had written his post, he wouldn't have written his post the same way. Did you catch that?
I did.
Too.
Wendy, what did you think?
Oh, I just heard that too. He completely contradicted itself on Kolby's podcast yesterday, saying, oh, well, if I'd known that, of course I wouldn't have written that. Well, if you watched the podcast, you knew that. So I don't know. It's kind of ironic that he's basically calling me and you a liar if he did watch the podcast, but he's the one who actually ends up lying.
Randall Bell?
No, I'm good on this one.
Okay. So what other thoughts did you have about how this went, Kolby?
I mean, like I said, I was really happy that we were able to, I feel like I treated him very respectfully. I asked my questions. Some of them were probing. There were parts where I pushed back, but I feel like he got a chance to have a conversation where he really was able to present his position. And that's kind of what I'm trying to go for on this channel, is allowing people to tell their side of things. I was allowed to tell my side of things in a certain, on certain points. And, yeah, that's basically how I feel about it. I thought it was successful from that point of view. I'm sure there are going to be people who are frustrated I didn't push back more, but that wasn't the purpose of the conversation. I think there's value in creating a space where people can share differing viewpoints, and we don't necessarily have to directly argue. I mean, there was still pushback, respectful pushback, but yeah, I felt like it was successful for what I was trying to do.
Well, very good. I just want to repeat, I thought you did a great job. Do you want to just take a second here and plug your new program, Kolby?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So my my channel is called Let's Disagree and Other Interesting Conversations with Me. You can find it on YouTube. And yeah, I'm, trying to model conversations like this. I'm doing a series that I call the Foundation series, where I talk about critical thinking, logical fallacies, stuff that the three of us have talked about on episodes we did connected to the Light and Truth Letter. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and glad a lot of people tuned in to check out this conversation, because I thought it really was a good conversation. And I do want to give Jaxon a little bit of credit and a compliment that most people won't show up for a conversation with me. I literally had a different apologist challenge me to a Book of Mormon debate, not Jacob Hansen, someone who had heard about all the Jacob Hansen stuff. And then when I accepted, they just completely like ghosted the conversation, which is pretty funny. But
And you don't want me to mention the name of that person?
oh, I don't care. Go for it.
Well, does it sound like, I don't know, Luke Hansen?
It was Luke Hansen.
Over at Psych Word Radio, he's like the mascot over there.
Yeah. And I think that would be very silly for Luke to actually debate me on the Book of Mormon's
But
history.
he challenged you. Is that what I'm understanding? Luke Hansen?
Yeah, yep.
He challenged you to a Book of Mormon debate. You accepted, and then he ghosted you?
Yep.
Luke, what is up with that? Anybody who knows Luke, could you find out what's going on with Luke? Because maybe his phone isn't working anymore. Maybe it's not intentional.
Maybe.
Because we want to see that Book of Mormon debate that you challenged Kolby to. Luke Hansen. Now we're going to go to this. I think this is from Randall Bell. Did you make this?
I did it on AI. Yeah, that's me. Colby's not the only AI whiz,
It says Mormon smash and dash.
Yeah, that's the Mormon apologist way. And before I shift to my stuff, going back to Colby's episode, which I watched with a lot of interest, there was a very funny attribute. And if you can listen to it and forget what people are saying and just listen for Jackson's, he's either saying, yeah. So anything you were saying neutral, Kolby, that was just kind of neutral or even, to reconcile things, just being your nice, kind self, he would insert, yeah, so much. It was actually very distracting. And then when you gently pushed him, and you were very gentle the whole time, but you asked a kind of a semi-lightweight, challenging pushback question, you would hear, So it bounced between this yeah interruptions to and it was to me, I mean, I have an odd sense of humor, as you all know, but it was very, very telling to see how he stalled or tried to insert himself in both situations. So just an observation. But I thought, Kolby, you did just a brilliant job. You have far more patience than me. So moving on. Yeah, the Mormon smash and dash. The concept here, and I actually use this slide with one of Rebecca's episodes, is I've noticed with the apologists that they make these big claims, just spectacular big claims. And then when you challenge to bring some data or some evidence to the table, they just run away. And it started right from the beginning of the church, where Joseph Smith says, speaking on behalf of God, no less, that all other churches are wrong, all other professors are corrupt, all creeds are an abomination. In other words, that's in court, we call that absolutes. When you say all, that means all. You find an exception, and your testimony in court goes down the can. So here, Joseph Smith, speaking for God, is making this blanket 3 times absolute statement that we're the only show on earth. Everything else is corrupt. That's a big claim. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And you start pushing some buttons and challenging a little bit, even a little bit, and things just fall apart. So that's where smash and dash came from. Are we good there?
Yes. And you had said make a big claim, which cued me to go to the next slide.
Yes. So here's the big claim. It's so small I can't read it. Sorry about that.
I can read the red.
I can read it for you.
Okay.
Too.
All of us young guys can read it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I get it.
Okay, Kolby, please.
You want me to read the whole thing? Or you just want me to point
Jackson's post, and I don't think it's been read yet.
This is his declaration of incoherence.
Yeah.
So he said, pro tip, if you are a grown man with common sense, you will refrain from illegally trespassing into apartment living rooms that aren't yours in order to mess with Latter-day Saint sister missionaries who live there and induce feelings of fear by moving their stuff around. Going further, now imagine you are a professional attorney who claims to have expert knowledge of the law, as well as a long-time anti-Mormon critic who financially benefits via a parasitic relationship to your former faith. The optics don't seem great for unlawful entry, a crime. It doesn't matter if you think it a cute joke or if you confirm they weren't home. To me, it indicates a serious lapse in judgment. Oh, and then imagine having the gall to consider it a personal attack when members of that faith community report you for it. Let me know below. Do you think this is an appropriate behavior for anyone, much less an attorney? Photo from Heretic, entirely unrelated.
You know, I haven't read this before.
Oh, you haven't?
I know this is what all the hubbub's about, but I haven't read it before. But I know you went over it with him during the course of your podcast interview with him, Kolby. But wow, I am really, really, this guy, RFM, he's not a good guy. The way he selectively presents and excludes information and then slants what information is left is very impressive.
Yeah.
I think he has an attorney. He has a future in the law ahead of him.
Yeah, he managed to take us doing a really nice thing for our neighbors and turn it into a criminal act.
Yeah. Bingo, Wendy. And I underlined some of the key phrases where he is just factually wrong. It's not an opinion debate issue. He says you illegally trespassed. Well, that's kind of a decision that is pronounced by this thing, Jaxon, called a jury or a judge. To say that it's illegal is a legal ruling, and trespass, again, is a ruling, and no one's appointed you king or judge to make those pronouncements. Totally false. Moving their stuff around, it sounds like when I read this, I thought you went through the dressers and rummaged around the apartment. That's absurd. It kind of overstates the case.
Well, that is the impression that seems to be trying to be given.
Exactly. Unlawful entry. You did a brilliant job, Kolby, on breaking that apart with him, where he, of course, backpedaled. And then he says a crime. Again, a crime is a conviction in court. You don't tell the world, as Jaxon has, that you've committed a crime unless that's been, again, decided by the judge or jury.
And in fact, Randy, one of the things I would point out is that accusing someone of a crime without a good reason to do so, depending on the type of crime and depending on the jurisdiction, can amount to defamation per se, which means that, in a theoretical case where someone brings a claim for defamation against someone who's making false statements, that the plaintiff would not need to prove damages. That's the advantage of defamation per se, is that you get to presume damages. And I don't know Washington's code well enough and the judicial decisions to know whether it would apply to something like trespassing. In reality, probably not, right? I can give the facts that are unfavorable to what I'm saying. I just am saying that people should be a little bit more careful, and I'm not just applying this to Jaxon. People should be a little bit more careful about implying other people have committed criminal conduct when they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And to that point, you said I did a good job on unlawful entry. So one of the things, just to recap it, one of the things that Jaxon and I explored, and RFM, maybe you can confirm whether I was right or wrong about this. From my review, unlawful entry is not a crime in the state of Washington. Unlawful entry is an element of the crime of trespass.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's criminal trespass 2 and criminal trespass 1. One's a simple misdemeanor, one's gross. But yeah.
Yeah. So here's the big claim. He came out. This is his claim. He's got an obligation to back it up. It's the legal, or the Latin term is onus probandi. It means if you make the claim, you have the responsibility to back it up. And here he's claimed you committed a crime, unlawful entry, trespass, illegal behavior. These are strong accusations. They're not even accusations. He doesn't frame them as accusations. He states them as evidence and fact. which it's anything but. So I wasn't going to bring up the sue for defamation, but I guess we just did. So anyway, so the next slide, please.
Yeah, I was speaking purely in hypotheticals, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Okay.
here, now you got into it a bit with Jaxon and he with you, correct?
Yeah. So I pushed back because I knew he was full of it. And so I said,
Can I just tell folks what I sent you, Randy? I actually hadn't seen your guys' back and forth until after our episode aired. And I literally texted Randy and said, what did your two families like fight in the old country or something? Like this was not cool.
It wasn't cool. You can like laugh or cry, as I say, but if anybody is so inclined, it's on Bill Reel's Facebook post. This debate went on for a long time. I'm shortening it way up to a few little nuggets, but I would encourage anyone who needs a good laugh to just read the whole thing through, because you can see over and over again his ad hominem attacks and his non sequitur answers. You ask him A and he's answering LMNOP down the alphabet, but never the question about A is ever answered. Okay, so I say to him, I can read this one. This is hilarious. You're clearly desperate to find something to be critical of when nothing exists. Comedy gold. Please keep going. It gives us valuable insights into Mormon neurology and serves as a warning to others. Okay, so a little snarky, but I think it's deserved because he's literally accusing you of crimes.
In your defense, Randy, you'd been drinking, so
maybe 3 nights before, but anyway, I know I did this totally sober. So you want to read what Jaxon says in reply, Kolby?
Sure. If I wanted to be real funny, I'd join you in overhyping and underdelivering on claims related to Dartmouth producing Joseph Smith's Mormonism.
Yeah. So this is a perfect textbook example. In fact, I literally teach a course in critical thinking, logical fallacies. I just this year taught it in Hawaii to Florida and numerous places. If the subject matter wasn't Mormonism, I would use this in the classroom to show how bad debate skills go. Here, Jaxon is made a claim. I push back, and then he wants to divert to Dartmouth, which is an entirely different topic on another planet, which I'm happy to debate him on Dartmouth any time he wants, but that's not the topic at hand. So he just notice how right out the gate, he tries to switch the subject altogether. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the tactic known as whataboutism. What about this? It's a distraction from the topic at hand.
Yeah. So then Mary Ellen Chitsworth makes a fun comment, and then Jaxon says, Randall, what was the data you shared in an initial comment here? I can't seem to see it. You tend to count yourself as a special exception to this demand. Well, the logical fallacy here is that I didn't make the claim. He made the original, he's posted the original post. It is his claim. As a critic, I have no duty to bring data to disprove his claim. That's how it is in court, and that's how it is in life. It's how it is in academics. It just is the way it is. So again, he's trying to deflect from his responsibility to back up his claim by trying to somehow magically shift to me and a non-existent responsibility to back up my claim. Again, you know, I've never seen anybody strike out so badly in terms of their logic and their debate skills. But you know, what do you guys weigh in and tell me what you think?
I'll go to Kolby first.
I mean, I just see more whataboutism. That's the way I see it. I thought this back and forth was, it wasn't productive. It wasn't critical thinking. That's for sure.
Did you have anything you want to say about this, Wendy?
No, it's just a form of manipulation. That's all it is. He's trying to manipulate Randy into speaking to something else.
Yeah. Oh, something that sort of applies here, but I want to tell you this, Kolby, because I thought of it when it was happening, and I was watching your interview with him when he talked about. I'll talk about this specifically with the sister missionaries, is what Jaxon said, but then I'm going to talk about it more broadly. And you know what I immediately thought, thanks to you, Bailey Mott, Bailey Mott.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Easier to defend the Mott rather than
my favorite exchange where I kind of called him on that was he did raise a legitimate point in the abstract about spiritual bypassing, and especially how women in Mormonism have been required as being part of that faith system to like self-suppress and like indicate, yes, everything's fine here. But I had asked him directly, I'm like, okay, but is there any reason to believe that's what's going on here? And that, again, to me, felt a lot like, in the live conversation, felt a lot like whataboutism. So I was glad I asked that follow-up question, because he did admit, no, I don't have any indication that it happened here. It's like, if you don't have any indication that it happened here, why talk about it?
Yes. There was a point at which, and I can't remember the specifics, and I'm sorry. There's a point at which I saw you don your judicial robes and talk to him like an erring lawyer appearing in front of you and making a dumbass argument. Hey, Randy, there's more.
There's a little bit more. But before I go on, Jay Castro made a really kind comment saying, he brought up the issue of a debate. Just for the record, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I would debate, and I'm a friendly, nice guy, but I, certainly am not going to be pushed around. But I would debate anyone on the pro-Mormon side, where I'm sure I would find a lot of things to agree with, believe it or not. And I don't try and talk anybody out of the church. I really don't. What people do, I really don't care, as long as they're not hurting themselves or others. And, we can debate whether Mormon church hurts you, but, for some people, it seems to work. But I never get invited. I've made the offer to the Midnight Mormons. I made the offer to others, and they just, they are so fragile about having a critic show up. Even somebody as nice as Kolby, which, far exceeds my abilities. Have you guys ever been invited to actually debate anyone?
No.
Okay.
I had a debate acceptance once, but we all know how that played out. So
yeah, you accepted a debate. You accepted 2 debates.
No, Jacob Hansen accepted a debate, my friend, not me.
Oh, that's right.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
No, let's not. Well, it doesn't make any difference who accepts. They're not going to debate anybody who knows anything about the Book of Mormon or Mormonism, because they know that they can't pull the wool over our eyes. That's why.
Yeah.
They can take other people who don't know about Mormonism and play these games, these distraction games, like we saw Jaxon playing, right? And whataboutism and all this other stuff. Oh, the thing is really interesting, though, is how on earth could Joseph Smith have known this? That kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not going to fly. Not with any of us. So they say, better not debate them at all. And they're right. They should be scared.
Well, they should be, because quite honestly, you, RFM, and Bill, and John, and Rebecca, and Landon, the whole gang, have become so effective and so articulate at hitting the bullseyes, and you too, Kolby, where there's just no way out. I think they're smart enough to know that. I got to just say whatever anybody wants about Christianity, but Biola University, which is a Christian university up the street, every year they invite atheists, prominent atheists. They've had Richard Dawkins on stage against a theist. It's an atheist versus theist. Everybody tends to be very polite. The whole student body comes into the big auditorium, and they have these debates, at the really core issues of each other's worldviews. That's how the real world works. And everybody seems to know it outside of Mormonism. In Mormonism, that would be like Dehlin Oaks calling you up, RFM, and saying, hey, would you and John come over and we'll debate in the Marriott Center, in front of the whole BYU student body? They will never do it. They have never done it. And it's for the simple reason they would get smashed.
What I would like to debate with President Oaks is whether God approves of 12 ways of lying or only 10.
Beautiful.
You think I can get him on that one? I can get him to debate. Okay, so let's look at this other thing.
Okay, I'm almost done here. So I'm not going to even read this, but Jackson's response to one of my things was to take a shot of his diploma.
Oh no, not do you happen to read Latin? Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing.
I was laying in bed reading that. I just almost laughed onto the floor. It was so bad. And you know,
a little bit of intellectual dick measuring going on, I see.
That was priceless. I think I might keep that one for my debating my critical thinking class, because that's just too good. And then
and which fallacy is this, Randy?
Well, this is an appeal to authority. Probably it could be any number, but the one that comes to mind first is appeal to authority. What do you think?
Yeah, appeal to authority. Arguing that your takes on religion are automatically or more likely to be correct because you have education in religion is definitionally appeal to authority.
I wonder if Jaxon knows what mentula means. That's Latin. It means dick.
Well, yeah. The thing is this issue, the original post had nothing to do. I got that, by the way, and I'll laugh later. But the thing here, the original post had nothing to do with religion. Nothing. So he's gone way off topic and put his Harvard Divinity School, which, by the way, is not affiliated with Harvard University, as far as I know, on display for us to see, as if I'm supposed to just bow down and say, oh, gee, please teach me, Jaxon. Not going to happen. So anyway, here's another exchange, and in him telling me of his greatness and superior intellect.
Wait a second, Randy, I got to read this. This is really breathtaking. So
all right,
Jaxon says, Randall, random question. Do you happen to read Latin? May come in handy as you interpret this image. And below it, he has an image, which is apparently written in Latin. Artificial intelligence, he goes on. Artificial intelligence may be helpful in compensating for your general lack when it comes to the academic study of religion.
Yeah.
Then he says cope and seethe, which is, I don't know, it's a new thing.
Oh, whatever. I mean, I would agree with him. I have a very lousy religious training because all I did was take all the religion classes required out of BYU to get a degree. I went to seminary for 4 years and I taught at the MTC. So I would agree with him. That is a very lousy religious training. So I think on that point, we actually agree.
Good one, Randy. Good one. Damning with faint praise. I like it. He also says, perhaps, Randy Bell, perhaps stay in the lane of your PhD. Yeah. Your competence outside your professional field is severely lacking, and it is obvious for those of us with formal training in the study of religion / actual professional experience in Mormon studies. This is where he says he has professional experience in Mormon studies. Were you surprised by that?
Well, I was surprised because I didn't know he had been paid for his experience in Mormon studies. So I asked him for pay stubs. I wanted to find out his employment history and his so-called professional experience. And he never even attempted to answer that question. It makes me kind of believe maybe he's not telling the truth.
Well, he must be telling the truth. He says professional, which means for money, and he says actual, so that means it really happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you get into it with these kind of lightweight debaters, and they'll inevitably give you more material and you can just go on forever. But at some point the comedy kind of gets stale. But this was kind of fun.
Can I say one thing about this, which is I detest that level of arrogance about education and about expertise. And I want to be real clear. I'm not denigrating Jaxon's expertise in the general study of religion, but when I share something or our FEM shares something from the legal field, we're not saying, like when I walked through the trespass statutes and the other statutes with Jaxon, I pulled them up on the screen and I explained, here's how you read them. Here's what they say. And that's what actual expertise should be used for, not as some type of trump card to say, I'm right because I have the more terminal degree in this field. That is a fallacious appeal to authority. When you're using it to just genuinely educate people, I don't have any problem with that. But yeah, that attitude towards Randy did really bother me.
Yeah. Okay, my last slide, and I'm done.
Hey, Wendy, how'd you feel about it? You're so quiet over there.
I am quiet. It's okay. You guys keep going.
Okay. Is this the one? Is this the one you want, or is it the one before it, Randy?
This one, Jaxon reached out and he said something very nice, and I give him credit for it. He said, "Simply engage me in good faith," which I had. So he's premising on a faulty premise.
That's very nice.
But anyway, he says, "I'd be happy to converse with you. Would you be open to a phone call to reconcile?" I thought, you know what? Sure, I'd be happy to. But first, first things first, I'll just paraphrase what my reply is. You really kind of owe RFM an apology and Wendy an apology. And so that was the exchange. And here's the final slide. No apologies.
He's a good Mormon. Yes, Jaxon.
I responded with a Dehlin Oaks quote, "We don't give apologies." And, of course, he wasn't happy with that.
Yeah. So it says, "I have no apologies to offer. Our conversation will need to wait." And our conversation will need to wait. And no, so many of your comments have been strikingly far from good faith since we last spoke in person. He is the final arbiter of what is and is not in good faith. And usually things that are not in good faith happen to not align with Jaxon's position.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what? Wendy, how are you doing?
Okay. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. All I have up here, this is your slide. It's just a slide for your name. Tell us why it is you wanted to be here, and I will just give you the floor.
Okay. I just kind of wanted to pinpoint on a few things because you have been so attacked over this. I mean, your career was brutally attacked over a prank we did on our neighbors when the original intent was to make sure our teenage neighbors were safe. I have never been a Mormon. I do not see our teenage neighbors or young adult neighbors as Mormon symbols. I see them as kids. They're the same age as my kids. And so I do try to look out for them because they are inexperienced in the world. One thing I would like for people to know, our neighbors have no idea who RFM is. He has never been introduced as RFM to our neighbors. We have never talked about Mormonism with our neighbors. It was very important to me when we first met the missionaries that they did not know who he was. So if anything ever happened, they would feel comfortable coming over and asking us for help. And RFM agreed with me. And so when they locked themselves out of their house and their car at the same time, they did feel comfortable enough, and they came over and asked RFM for help. And then we both ended up out there with my son for an hour trying to help them. These are just, like I said, in my eyes, good kids that, I don't know, we have a great relationship with our neighbors. And I can't see how us playing a prank on them got turned so bad. The only reason RFM was even over there that day with that door being open is because I said I was going to go over there to check, and then turned back at him and said, "Come with me in case someone's in their apartment," just to make sure I was also safe. And then people are criticizing, saying he went in, he snooped through their things. We honestly talked about how bad we felt that we did not go in their apartment because we did not feel comfortable enough to check the rooms and make sure nobody was hiding somewhere. Where we live, there's a lot of foot traffic. I was in my kitchen one day with my son, and a homeless man just came in, walked straight into our house, talking to us like he lived there too, wanting to move my son's truck for him. And so that's really scary to me with teenage girls and their door being open like that. So I also wanted people to know what the sister missionaries said about this because I was the one who went over and spoke with them the next morning. I went over and told them that their door had been open when we got home the day before and nobody was there, and so we'd closed it for them. And they were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And I said, so what did you guys think of the pumpkin in the living room? And they went, what do you mean? And I said, so my husband told me that I would not understand because I was never a missionary, but missionaries play pranks on each other. It's just something they do. And so he wanted us to play this prank on you and put the pumpkin and the slider in the living room as a joke. And I said, but then I wanted to come over this morning in case it made you feel unsafe or anything, that it was moved into your house, to know it was us. And they looked at us or looked at me and said, we had no idea it was you guys. We barely even noticed. We kind of saw it and thought our roommates did it. And so it had no effect on them whatsoever. And they did say that RFM was right, that missionaries are kind of known for playing pranks on each other, and they laughed about it. Everything was fine. So how this got turned into something where RFM is dirty and evil and someone wouldn't leave their kids with him. My grandkids hang out with, we had lunch with my 2-year-old granddaughter this afternoon, and RFM is her best buddy up there playing with the pig, walking across the table and having a great time. There's nobody I would trust more with my grandkids than RFM. So I take great offense to that. And I also want to say something about that photo of Bill with the wax figure. He wants to put that up like it's something dirty and that he's disrespectful of women. Well, I happen to be friends with Bill's girlfriend, Teresa, and I guarantee you she probably took that photo. And Bill is so respectful to Teresa. He is so sweet, so thoughtful. We talk about our relationships very much in depth. And Teresa has told me she has never met anyone that cares so much about what she thinks and who she is as a person and what's important to her. Whenever I've encountered Bill Real, he has always been respectful to me and of my thoughts. I just think it is horrific that people want to make him out like he's some pervert over something that's funny, because Randall Bell technically here owes me $100 for daring me to take an inappropriate picture in Vegas when we were there last, where there is a photo of me next to Caesar playing with Caesar's stuff.
Mintula.
Yes. So
you like Mintula. She's touching.
Yeah, you still
of Caesar right there.
I haven't forgotten,
I haven't
buddy.
seen you. I'm good for it. I'm good for it.
You are
That's why I took the picture. I took the
You're
picture and I
sending
sent it to you for proof.
Send me your Venmo. I'll do it right now.
And if anybody wants to buy, a copy of this picture,
No.
of Wendy touching Caesar's Mintula in Las Vegas, I'm sure we can work something out.
No, the only person that picture was sent to was Randy to prove that I actually did.
Wait, I think I can put it up here on the stage. Hang on just a second.
I have a copy of this picture, Wendy, actually. So, yeah.
If you have one, there's no telling who all are sent it to.
Well,
But
everybody on my list, everybody in my phone got one. I just hit send all.
But that's what Bill's photo is too. It's just something funny that him and his girlfriend did in Vegas with a wax figure. So I don't know. All of this is just silly to me that people want to turn it into something horrible. And I am actually really offended that someone could brutally attack your career and write bar complaints over a prank. I mean, we did not go in their house. I mean, you literally stepped 2 feet away from me in the doorway to set that pumpkin there. I mean, it's just like I said, it's all crazy. And so I just wanted to clear the record and say that people like Jaxon who want to just outright lie, I have absolutely no respect for. And people like Jaxon who would leave their child with Joseph Smith knowing he's a predator, whether Emma's there or not, I feel very sorry for his children.
Okay. Any comments from either of the other two of you, Kolby and Randy, to that? Meanwhile, I'm going to be getting the link ready to put in the live chat so people can show up and make whatever comments that they would like to make on this auspicious occasion. First, how about Randy, then Kolby?
Well, thanks for the invite to talk about this. To me, it's kind of fun, but I think it's run its course. Someone in the comments pointed out correctly that Harvard Divinity School is part of Harvard, and I just did a chat GPT and they're correct. So I was confusing it with Princeton, which is not. So Jaxon, I'm gonna make a demonstration for you. I was wrong and I apologize. See, it's really not that hard. Okay. So maybe you can try that out sometime. And thanks, you guys.
Just about to point that out as you said it before you pointed it out.
Did you have anything you want to say, Kolby?
My only thought while we get some callers in is I was really bothered, like Wendy was, about the double standard. There are certain apologists that I know have engaged in some unethical behavior, and I have never gone after any of their professional qualifications, their professional responsibilities, their livelihood. I just don't think that's appropriate for a religious disagreement. And that's one of the things that really bothered me about these bar complaints, is that they were absolutely specious bar complaints. Like from start to finish, the bar probably was laughing them off the entire time. And the idea that behavior warranted posting a photo of a fictional murderer, even if you say something like, this is entirely unrelated.
Hugh Grant.
Yeah. Hugh Grant's character from Heretic, which is like worse than a murderer. He was like an absolute sadist. And
but he didn't move any pumpkins.
He didn't move any pumpkins, thankfully. Otherwise, the movie would have been even more terrifying. I think I just was struck by the team sport on display that I felt, like the need to defend these apologists or vindicate these apologists. I didn't really ask Jaxon about that, but I suspect there's something there that he felt the need to like defend his, quote unquote team. And that bothers me because I just would not have been comfortable. I would not have characterized any faithful apologist as out of step with what really happened, the way that Jaxon characterized your behavior, RFM. I would consider myself being extremely dishonest if I did that. And that's, I guess, would be kind of my closing thought and my plea is like, if we have principles and we want to insist over and over again, I'm standing on principles, but your principles really only cut the one way. They only apply to the people that you don't like. You don't have principles. You have a claim to privilege. And that's what it felt like to me, is that there were different rules that were being applied to you, whether by the apologist, the first apologist, or by Jaxon, that would not have been applied evenly. And I just don't agree with that. I believe that we should hold our friends to the same ethical standards that we should hold other people to.
Wow. Very good. Thank you for that closing statement. We've got Laura on the show. Laura, how are you doing? What do you want to say?
I'm just I'm never Mormon, and it never ceases to amaze me the lack of maturity that they have. Some of them, that's not fair, but that some of them have, to pull out your degree like that. He showed the kind of person he really was in that moment because Randy got to him. And as Wendy said, to say that you would trust your child with Joseph Smith because your pride is wounded. Do you realize what you're saying? I mean, I don't have kids, but Jesus Christ, I've been a 14-year-old girl. May not have been Joseph Smith's type. I'm gay and homely, but still, I don't know. I would, the fact that he was, it's unbelievable that these people vote. It's astonishing. To have a functioning democracy, you need to have a well-educated public. And that does not always mean formal education, clearly.
What we're taught
But
as
I'm s-
Mormons is, Laura, as Mormons, we're taught no matter what the election, we write in Joseph Smith.
Apparently, thank you guys all for your commentary tonight. I'm sorry, RFM, that you had those complaints. First, it was, what was it, Rosebud and Jen, what's her name?
Mm-hmm. On camping.
Camp.
Mhm.
That little treat. Amber Heard number 2. And now
I'm glad you said
these
treat. I
two
thought you were going to say
guys.
something else.
No. I think she learned her lesson. She's gone off to lick her wounds.
Maybe. We can always hope.
But I'm sorry you went through that. Thank you for letting me come on. And I'm just, last thing, the civility with which he approached you in private, Randy, Randall, I don't know you. I shouldn't be using familiar. Sorry.
I don't care.
Is also displays the kind of, he's torn. He's at war within himself. He wants to be this good guy, but he's hair triggered. He loses it so quickly, and he can dish it, but he can't take it. There's no pretense of civility in any of that engagement until it became private. And then he quickly became nasty, dismissive, and insincere again. And what is he teaching his children? Wendy, like you said, I feel bad for the kids.
Exactly.
I don't think he has any, but at least we know Joseph Smith isn't really going to be babysitting anybody.
That's why he would let someone like Joseph Smith
Exactly.
babysit his kids is the point. That's terrifying as a
Ray
parent.
Christopherson has some free time, I understand.
That was terrible.
Yes, it was. Thank you for noticing.
Did
You
you
have a pumpkin
shave?
I can move?
I don't, but did you shave?
Yes, I did. Ich habe geshavend.
What
That's German
prompted
for I have
that?
shaved. This is why I didn't get good grades in high school German. But I shaved for an out-of-state trip that I was on Friday. It was a quick thing, but took several days. And I'm going to reveal all the secrets behind my shave, which I'm growing out now because the need.
Yes, it's coming back, Laura. I promise.
Thank you, Miss Wendy. Thank you.
The audience thanks you, Wendy. As little of RFM's face as we need to see.
It is. Actually.
No,
I thought about
RFM's a
turning my
very
back on
handsome
the
man.
audience and putting my glasses on the
I
back of my
remember,
head.
well, it's just like a part of him is not there without the facial hair. And I was talking to my mother the other day, and I said, I knew RFM for 7 years without facial hair. And then the last 3, he's had it. And now it was so hard to imagine him without it again.
The last time I was completely clean shaven, my daughter, who's going to be turning 11 this summer, it was for her baby blessing. And our son, who was 2 at the time, asked my wife, why is daddy's face so fat? So my beard remains.
Oh, no.
Oh, gee.
I
Sorry,
had my laughter, my smoker's laugh made a kid, I kid you not, made a child actually cry one time. So kids are brutal, but
Well,
that's why they're so beautiful.
You do sound like one of Marge Simpson's sisters.
I do. It's done a number on me, and I'm only 40.
I can't even remember their names. Kolby?
Patty and Selma.
Patty and wow, you knew exactly. Good job.
Simpsons seasons 1 through 8. I grew up on that. I was 5 when they started, and my dad and I used to bond over it.
As all families should.
We weren't allowed to watch that show or Roseanne or any show that was disrespectful to adults.
My mother and my father had, even at 5, I remember the fights over him letting me watch it.
Yeah.
Because she would not let me watch. I wasn't allowed until I was in high school, any albums that had that little parental sticker, black and white sticker on it. She was pretty, but he won out with The Simpsons. And I learned who Gore Vidal was through The Simpsons. And now I've voraciously read many of his works.
Wow.
Simpsons
Well, you're a
taught me
better
everything
person
I
than I am.
know.
Oh yeah, RFM quotes Simpsons all the time and says, "You don't know this," and I go, "I wasn't allowed to watch it."
The good news is I never quote Gore Vidal.
There's a great Simpsons quote. I'll let you go, but let me just get. I know.
Don't hurry. They're flooding in, and we can only have one of you up at a time tonight.
Okay. So Lisa's lamenting. My only friends are grown-up nerds like Gore Vidal, and even he's kissed more boys than I have. And Marge goes, "Girls, Lisa. Boys kiss girls." And it was the funniest. I didn't get it until I was older.
That is,
I'm like, oh, because he's one of my kind. But anyway, okay. Thank you for having me on. Have a great evening.
Okay,
Thanks,
Laura,
Laura.
thanks for calling in. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.
And here comes Tim Rathbone, who knows that nobody who speaks German can be all bad. Tim, how are you doing?
Stimmt. Gut, danke. Sehr
Ich
gut.
habe geschäven.
Ja, ich habe das gesehen. Ich sah, dein Gesicht jetzt ist leer von dein Bart.
So, Tim, what did you think about tonight's show?
Well, I've dealt with Jaxon before. We were Facebook friends for a while, and I kept challenging him until finally he blocked me. And then the night that he was on, remember I said we were Facebook friends and you blocked me. And then he said, no, I didn't. And then the next day he sent me a friend request and I allowed him to be my friend again.
Mm.
And I've been sniping in him ever since. But then Facebook suspended my account for 6 months. So, but not because of that.
I do that randomly, just to anybody, every now and again.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I guess it was your turn.
Yeah, it was my turn.
Well,
But,
good.
yeah,
Keep up the
Jaxon-
good fight. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Tim?
Well, Jaxon is a real piece of work. The cognitive dissonance is strong with this one. I mean, stronger than any I've ever seen. So just remember that.
Okay. These are not the rational arguments you're looking for.
That's right. That's right. Indeed. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Tim, we'll talk to you later, maybe Friday, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Bye-bye. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
And there's Alex the Lunarian. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Same to you.
You
I
got
as
nothing
with
on that wall
Wendy's,
behind you. What's with that?
I normally have my boards behind me, but I take them down because I'm not supposed to let anybody know what I do. But I wanted to say two things. One, it's a comment I made earlier about Jaxon Jacktoff. He is the Fruitiger Arrow of LDS apologetics. Fruitiger Arrow is this 1990s, 2000s style of, high tech mixed with nature. So if you recall back in the day, the designs that were used on Windows computers backgrounds, they were very slick. It was always involved green and blue and lots of swirls. It was very, very vapid and very vacant. It wasn't all that good. And it was just used to sell the ability of technology to do really cool graphics. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that with confidence because people don't remember Fruitiger Arrow. In fact, it didn't even get a name until about 3 or 4 years ago. But the second thing I wanted to say was, Wendy, your comments are very, very powerful. And the one thing I noticed is that Jaxon and others are going out of their way to protect women, but I don't hear any women actually responding to the issue of their own accord. When they do talk about it, they seem forced, or it's Cruella de Vil, my nickname for Jaxon Rapoli.
Jasmine? You
what
said
did I say?
Jackson Rapoli.
Oh, well, they kind of blend together in my mind because they're all wacko.
They're fun.
I think my recommendation is that Wendy's comments be cut out and reposted as a singular video and as a number of shorts, just so that you and everyone else can say, this is a woman who was there and knows what happened, and she's the final word, and everyone else can shut the fuck up. And that would be the end of the melodrama. Because the last thing that Jaxon and Jaxonia de Vale want to hear from is a woman who speaks confidently and without hesitation. So that's what I wanted to say.
Alex, I'm going to push back on you a little bit just to say I don't think this actually has anything to do with defense of women. And let me tell you why. So if we look at these texts from the sister missionaries, and I hit these multiple times with Jaxon, this is the message from the sisters when they were asked about this issue. Oh, yeah, we're fine. We didn't even notice. The neighbor's wife came over and explained the situation. To me, you're not defending women. If you know how the women feel about it, the women feel completely fine about it. You're looking for an opportunity to get offended because it's convenient. This goes back to my comments about principles and privilege.
Well, this falls back to my position that Wendy's comments are paramount here. Post them separately. Thank you, Wendy, for speaking. That was wonderful of you. Very generous. And don't hesitate. There's a scientist who pushes back against those folks that go on and on about ancient aliens. And he says quite plainly, meanness and stubbornness is appropriate. So when it comes to dealing with apologetics, bad apologetics, and individuals like Jaxon, you don't feel bad if you are mean and stubborn in response to their bullshit, and do so confidently. And they either explode, implode, or evaporate. And I think Jackson's going to evaporate very soon.
I hope so.
Well, you guys are rough. I prefer self-immolation.
Well, if you leave them alone long enough, they do that. But what I've always known is the people who truly believe, never say anything. And they never act in defense of preserving their own ideals. They will allow themselves to be martyred without complaint. It's the ones who don't believe that are the loudest. And those are the ones you can take down. And you raise the emotional
trying
temperature.
to convince themselves.
Maybe. Or, the appeal to authority, or the credentialism that Jaxon is displaying. But if you raise the temperature continuously, they will implode, explode, or evaporate.
Very good. Alex, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you Friday as well.
It's nice meeting you again, Wendy. I saw you at Thrive. You were very annoyed near the end, but
well, you wouldn't leave her alone, Alex. You were following her everywhere.
I was annoyed.
I'm kidding.
You don't pay attention to him. But what was I annoyed about?
Oh, do you recall when it was at the karaoke? You were just sat there, just staring at RFM. It just the face you were making, because he was, RFM. He flirts with everybody, so I think you just wanted to go to bed.
I really did. I was really tired.
Forever, and I was probably tired and just done for the day.
I was very tired. We got there very late because a lot of people want to talk to me after the presentation.
Yeah.
You know how it went. Anyway, by the way, I just want to say for the record, Alex was not following Wendy around everywhere. That was a joke, okay?
Well, I was pretending to stalk Wendy and Rebecca so I could get closer to you, RFM, because you're just so amazing.
I get it.
You're so handsome.
I totally understand.
But I do remember you from Brett.
All right, we got to let you go, Alex, and bring on our last guest. See ya, Alex. Bye-bye. Thanks for calling in. And here he is from, guess where? Diamond Dave.
What's going on? So I had a couple things. I did a super chat and I got kind of busy and I don't know if it was addressed. But
you did a super chat here?
Yeah. I asked about if John Dehlin were to offshore Mormon stories and OSF, right? If he were to offshore them in another country like the church does, would the potential trademark infringement fall under that their copyright law?
I hope you can answer that, Kolby, because I was trying to find the super chat that I missed before. I didn't hear anything.
This is it right here.
If Mormon stories were to do what the church does and offshore MSP and OSF in a foreign country, would the lawsuit fall under the jurisdiction of said country? Well, jurisdiction is this really sticky, thorny thing in civil procedure that I didn't understand a lick of back in the fall of 1986. But I think that if they broadcast into a country, then that country can usually assume jurisdiction over them.
Yeah, the answer is basically almost certainly not. I don't even know if the church really does this, but yeah, you would not be able to avoid potential liability. Like you can be sued as an international, like as a non-US resident in the US courts when you've met the bar for basically submitting yourself to the jurisdiction of the US courts. That's a whole question of personal jurisdiction and then venue. And yeah, we don't want to put everyone to sleep going through, first couple of weeks of
Gotcha.
civil procedure. So
I want to hear
Gotcha.
about the long arm statute and international shoe. Tell me about international shoe.
no thanks. We're good.
I mean,
What
you
a
don't
safety
want to
net
put,
for-
I mean, what time is it in America? It's bedtime, right? You could put us all to bed by, reading us international.
Legal education ASMR.
Yeah. Yeah.
A tort is
Yeah. Another streamer did that actually. He had a 30-minute outro where his roommate read from the California Penal Code. That was
What
a
was in the
thing.
penal code?
The California Penal Code.
Yes.
It was basically a joke because like the streamer kept bothering the roommate on Discord, and then the 30-minute outro was the roommate reading the California Penal Code regarding to how like harassment via electronic devices is a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
But,
that sounds exciting. You know what they call the California the penal code in Latin, don't you? It's the
No.
Mentula code.
Interesting.
That's Latin. If you were smart as I am, you would know that. Did you get that right, Diamond Dave?
No, but that's okay.
Were you watching Randy's segment of the show at all?
Like I said, I got busy and I was bouncing in and out, so I didn't catch
Okay, well, I
the
got to
full-
explain this to you now. Otherwise, you're going to think I'm an asshole. Excuse me. You're going to think I'm an arse. Jaxon told Randy, if you were as smart as I am, let me help you out here. You probably can't read Latin. So if you can read the segment of Latin I'm including at the bottom of this post of mine. So he was pulling the old Latin card. And that's also why I said about the penal and the mentula, because mentula is Latin for dick.
Well, I don't like. I have to word this very carefully because Kolby has seen what I said about Jaxon in the Discord, and even that was more tame. I would say that Jaxon would have to work very hard to disappoint me. My standards for him are just that low. So I'm not surprised that he did that. And like I watched Randy's like disagreement with him where he basically backpedaled all the way throughout the video.
Is that the interview that Kolby did with him?
Yes. Where like Kolby was like basically Jaxon was saying why he thought it was criminal and why it would induce fear in these women and all these things. And then Kolby did a legal explanation. He's like, okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. But my principles tell me, and then word salad.
I'm not comfortable with this.
Nah, it's like nobody cares what you think, Jaxon.
The one question I don't know I ever got a straight answer to it, but I asked him the question if he really thought your intention was to cause fear amongst the missionaries. And if he had said yes, the path I wanted to go down is basically saying, then why this? Like, if you really wanted to scare the missionaries, moving a pumpkin, 2 feet into their living room is definitely not going to have that effect. So I think it was wise to say that he didn't think that was actually your intention, that was more just you being sarcastic in the text messages.
Oh, yeah, they were mildly dramatized.
Yeah, they were so traumatized that the missionaries brought us cookies 2 weeks ago. Remember that? And then bringing that plate of cookies.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing, okay? Well, all this has been going on. Us and the missionaries, and now they're elders over there, have been dealing with this stray cat who had kittens. And I've been taking care of the cat. And, she's just a sweetie, comes over and sees me in the evenings. And then she was obviously very pregnant. I don't want her to be in the garage, having her kittens. So make sure she's out of there. And then she comes back and now she doesn't appear to be pregnant anymore. And it turns out that she had gone 2 doors down in the triplex to the elders. The missionaries are in there now, are guys. And they had, she had been being taken care of there, and she had her kittens there, which was really good news. And so, we talked about it, took pictures together.
We took the grandkids over to see the kittens on Easter.
We passed out cigars.
They were so traumatized that, according to someone a few minutes ago in this video, they were so traumatized they didn't even notice.
I know. And this was the most unkindest cut of all. That they didn't even notice my prank.
Yes, he was heartbroken over that part.
So you're the victim here, RFM. You're the real victim here, right? You're the victim. Like, they didn't even notice.
No. I don't claim victims bad. But imagine how bad I would have felt if it got disbarred over a prank that didn't even land.
Oh yeah, that would have been awful.
That would have been
if it had landed. I could have told all my cellmates about it for like the next 10 to 20 years. So,
hey, sorry to interrupt. I've got grandpa duty. So thanks again for having me. Nice to see Diamond Dave, and
nice to see
love you to our whole Exmo community.
Right. Thank you so much for being here, Randy. You're awesome.
Yeah, thanks again. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Hey, Diamond Dave, are you good? Can we let you go and see you Friday?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
You're awesome too. We love you. We love Mongolia. There's Diamond Dave keeping it real.
I especially love their barbecues.
Oh yeah, the Yak Blue Plate Special is something to behold. No Molly says, I need RFM to weigh in on this. I'm waiting for the check to arrive. No Molly. Can you declare to be suing someone in a public forum before the other party has been served? I have no idea why you wouldn't be able to.
Yep, absolutely you can.
So next one, by the way, you'll be getting the bill in the mail for that. Oh, that's still No Molly. Kolby. Troy says, Kolby's discussion with Washburn revealed Jaxon to be something of a weasel in sheep's clothing. He's a very, very small, long, kind of narrow-bodied weasel in sheep clothing. Kolby's a sight for sore eyes, says somebody.
No, they said I'm a sight for eyesores.
Oh, wow. I read that differently. You're right. Do you know that person? I don't even recognize this name.
No, but they've got good taste.
Okay. What are you eating? Did you bring something to share for everybody, Kolby?
It's just a mint.
Just a mint. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I noticed that the church in Utah, right? We talked about this when I'm going back through the starred and super chats. Matt now comes back and says, by a church run by Profit, Profit, in quotation marks, to drive the joke home. Tessa says, for Jamie, contact Open Stories Foundation here. Oh, this is the place where you can contact about how you can help, I think is what that is. Diamond Dave, we talked about this. I'm glad he brought it up because I might have forgotten otherwise, and I want to remember this. These super chats are very important. J7BVQB says, keep going, RFM, 3 exclamation points. Thank you so much. Definitely will do. Roger that. And then we have Osti Destry rides again. Tuition fee for being schooled by Kolby on Civ Pro. That's after you answered the question that she or he had raised originally. I think that's it. So let me see here. Okay. I think we've covered everything. You have a chance to say anything you want before I close this out. Wendy, do you have anything you want to say?
No, just thank you for letting me come on. I appreciate you letting me say what I wanted to about this. And like I said, once again, it really offends me. I live with you every day. I know what kind of person you are. You are one of the best people I have ever met. You are so kind and caring and considerate of others. And I just hate to see your character attacked and you made out to be some evil monster when you are the complete opposite.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Kolby, you got a one-upper on that one.
Well, I don't live with you every day, but I was very bothered by the way your character was called into question. So you and I have been friends now for 4 years. And I have never had anything but positive experiences with you and with your character. I have also had private conversations with you that most people are not privy to, where you have shown me more of that character. And I have always seen consistent integrity and character from you. And the last thing I want to say is I have missed this. It really has been fun to be back on with both Wendy and with you, RFM. It's been a while since we had our Light and Truth finish up. At least it feels like it's been a while
Oh,
to
yes,
me.
for you and me. I was thinking, I'm trying to fit Wendy into this part.
No. This is a one-time deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it is nice. And we can just talk about things and have a good time and have the audience join in as much as they want to and say what they want to do in there. They're cooking it up over here in the live chat. So thanks for that. I'll go home. I'll watch it later. I wanted to do this show tonight because the newscast was canceled, as you know. And I wasn't here on Friday, and I was going to try and do it on Saturday, but the trains, the planes, and the automobiles were not all lining up for that to happen because of the community that I think is very important that we have here in the live chat, especially, as well as those who watch later and comment or don't comment at all or don't live chat at all. But the community, I think, is the most important thing. And that's why I wanted to do something tonight. This lent itself, obviously, to a discussion with hopefully some lightheartedness to it, because this really is kind of dumb and inconsequential. It is a tempest in a teapot. Whereas what's going on with John Dehlin, yeah, that's serious stuff. That's, I think, where our efforts and our focuses should be, not just to get it off me, but to put it where it more rightly belongs. Not that I'm averse to having attention on me, as you know. So thanks so much for joining us. Wednesday, Bill's going to be back, and we're going to be doing a Mormonism Live about the Mountain Meadows Massacre, MMM. And he's been doing some research on that. He's got some slides, I think, almost all ready to go. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be interesting. Probably one of the darkest moments of Mormon history, and one that the church sure doesn't want you to know about, and for good reason. Well, we'll go over it, good, bad, and indifferent, and most of it's bad, on Wednesday night. And please join me on Friday night for Mormonism After Dark at 8:00 p.m. Mountain Time. And we'll talk more. We're going to do a few more tweaks on the structure. Everything's coming together. The views are up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling your friends. We have a great time there at the end of the week just to relax and chat and hang out with friends. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, this is Radio Free Mormon. Signing